Hello, and welcome to the last video for Learning Aim A Modern Technologies. Today we're going to be looking at the impacts of modern technologies. We have two main lesson objectives for today. The first one is for us to be able to describe the positive and negative impacts of modern technologies on organisations. And then once we've looked at the organisation's impacts, we're going to look and describe positive and negative impacts of modern technologies on individual people. We're now going to take a look at another question and give you a bit of time to have a think of the answers. So, what do you think could be the negative impacts of using video streaming services on a hotel's infrastructure? So if the hotel is set up to allow guests to watch the streaming sites on their TVs in different rooms, what pressures could be placed in a negative impact by people using it? Hopefully you may have considered that if a guest wants to watch a Netflix streaming channel in their room, that might not have a massive impact. However, if all guests want to stream a video at the same time, then the hotel will need a massive internet connection just to allow all the users to connect at the same time. So therefore that puts pressure on the infrastructure of the hotel to allow that high capacity bandwidth to transfer at the same time. It also may lead to a lot of complaints. If you're in a hotel and your TV will not stream, you may go down to reception and complain because you can't watch a TV program, or you may not be able to use the internet on your devices to check your email for work or for personal use. And also, a lot of hotels may limit or ban video streaming or give you an extra charge. You may have been to a hotel where they charge you extra for Wi-Fi services or amount of data that you use. This is to ensure that people don't go in and abuse the hotel's policies on how much infrastructure they can use for each guest. We're now going to look how modern technology has impacted the changes in schools. I'd like to consider over the duration from maybe your parents to your time in schools, what positive and negative impacts have occurred due to the introduction of technology. Now you may have had discussions with your parents about this, and they may have talked you through their experience in schools and your experience in schools to come up with ideas of how technology has played a difference in the roles. Some of the positive impacts that technology has had on students in schools is we can now conduct registration electronically. We use a piece of software called Sims. When I went to school, I was used to register under a massive booklet. So a teacher would have a pen and paper and they would mark in a pen whether I was here or not, and that booklet at the end of the week would get taken to the attendance team. When we complete work, we can also now mark electronically. You may have been marked in some of your Google Classroom lessons. You submit the work and then feedback is provided electronically for you to improve. We can also submit and hand out homework electronically now, which means there's less paperwork required, which helps the environment. Again, using Show My Homework at the moment to set you weekly work and tasks is better than us sending it via post. And communication with parents has increased by email as well. Again, applications like Show My Homework or My Ed allow us to communicate directly without the need of paper being used for post or time in phone calls. There are negative impacts of technology being used in schools. Staff may need to be trained. You may go to some lessons and identify that some teachers struggle on how to use the computers in their room, and therefore that impacts the performance of your lessons. Or they may get frustrated at times when a system error occurs and they don't know how to fix it. And the systems must be installed and managed. Again, on site we have a technician team. They are employed to maintain the network and to ensure that technology is working. If we didn't have the technology, then we would not require the technician team, which could save us money on our school budget. Modern technology has had a massive role in how we conduct our shopping and e-commerce in the present time. In the past, there was many more physical shops that people would have to go to purchase goods, whereas now we can use the internet to shop online 24/7. We can also use a feature called Click and Collect, where you go online and place an order to collect at a time that is relevant to you. There are now very few physical shops that are open all the time. It's becoming more and more online shopping than having stores built and opened for new customers. A few questions to consider for this though is how can the internet shops be open all the time? So how can we ensure that if we want to buy something at the early hours of the morning or midday, that the shops are available for us to purchase that item, or if we have a query how can our questions be resolved? And how is being open 24/7 an advantage to the shop? What could be the benefits that may bring to them? And finally, what advantages do physical shops still have? Consider what types of items you may purchase and how you may need to see or touch those items before you want to purchase them. Let's take a look at some of the answers to those questions we've just asked. So how can internet shops be open all the time? Well, they're kept open by computers which cost very little to run. So having computers that are running can be accessible then worldwide 24 hours a day. Most online shops limit their customer service times. So we raised the question on the previous slide about how can you gain answers to any questions that you have. Well, there may be a symbol on the website that says that you can only contact between certain hours. Or they may employ teams of people across the globe, which means that people can answer the questions while other people in other countries go to sleep. How is being open 24/7 an advantage to the shop? Well, by being open all the time, that allows people to shop at any point of the day when they are feeling that they want to make an item purchase. So it's convenient for customers who may be at work during normal shop opening hours. When they come home from work, when the shop would normally be shut, they can now make their purchase online, so the shop still gets a sale. And what advantages do physical shops still have? Well, like we mentioned, if I was buying a t-shirt, I'd rather be in a physical shop where I can try the t-shirt on for size, how the t-shirt feels in terms of the material, before I purchase it. A lot of people will buy items online and then ask for a refund when they send the item back because it's not what they expect it to be when they receive it. You can also get more personal customer service. If I go to a physical shop to buy a TV, I can ask the sales assistant for their opinion on different TVs that I'm selecting, rather than just online being stuck by the information and picture available. You may have considered that us using modern technologies to do actions like shopping online brings a risk of our data being stolen. Therefore, there's two methods that we can increase the security of our data by using. The first one is called distributed data. This is where the data that we store is divided into smaller amounts and is then stored in different locations. This means if one of the locations is hacked, only a small amount of data breach will be revealed, and therefore the hacker cannot use this because they've not got the other locations and the other data stored elsewhere. The second method is called dispersed data. This is where the same data is stored in multiple locations. So if, for example, you had 5 locations across the globe and a hacker managed to break into one, they would have all the data. This is, however, useful for backing up of the data, because if your data center number 1 goes down, you can then use data center 2 to 5 to use the files and information that you require. The data may be more vulnerable because, like we've mentioned previously, if a hacker manages to get into one of the data centers, then they will have access to all the data rather than in a distributed data system where they will have access to part of the data if they hack into one place. We have looked at collaboration in previous videos. However, we're going to recap a couple of key points because collaboration is a massive aspect when we consider the impact of modern technologies on how it's impacting daily routines. By collaborating, by working together, this means that companies can be more efficient because jobs can be completed by many people across the globe. Files will always be up to date. Again, as we mentioned previously, if we have files that are stored online and people can work on those together, the file will always be the latest version and mistakes won't be made. And by having video conferencing, that allows virtual meetings, which means people don't have to travel, which reduces the air pollution and the travel time and costs, and again can improve the efficiency of the business. However, if a single piece of technology fails, the work can then become very inefficient. If, for example, the internet connection was to go down, then all users may struggle to complete any work as they are requiring the online access to collaborate. In our previous video, we looked at inclusivity and accessibility. I'd like to see if you can remember what are some of the positive and negative impacts for an organisation, i.e. a business, of having an inclusivity and accessibility policy. By using technology, that's allowed businesses and organisations to be more inclusive and accessible. We talked previously about people with disabilities who may not need to travel to work anymore, so those people who were housebound previously can now be included in your work team and therefore have a job. It can be flexible, again fitting around family commitments, such as taking children to school or going and completing actions like fixing the boiler. And people in different countries and cultures can actually be employed in your team, and their different experiences and their beliefs can come up with a creativity that you would not normally get with just your basic team in your own country and help you become more efficient. And also technology can help with the cost, because we can now remote work, so we can work from home. That can save the company a lot of money because they don't need to have offices, they don't need to have office furniture or electricity or heating to the premises, and therefore by saving all that money they can reinvest it in advertising or other areas that will help them sell more products and therefore make more profit. Modern technology has helped in people's working styles. Many different people in the organisation can work in different ways. Individuals can find times that suit them or their family better, and by having those flexible working styles can then be benefited in working in a time that suits their needs. They can also use a range of devices, whichever would be best for their needs. And they have the flexibility in the locations they can work. Therefore they can travel from home to other locations like visiting suppliers or visiting customers, and then complete work on their journey or while they're at that other location. Just like you are completing your work at home right now, many employees will complete all their daily routines in their home-based location as opposed to going to an office. Technology has supported this by using the internet and by using Skype, which is video over the internet protocols, or using cloud storage or cloud computing, which we've looked at in previous videos. It's made it far more easy for people to work at home. I'd like you to consider what could two positives of people working from home be, but what could also be two negatives for people working at home. An individual or employee will have many positive or negative impacts for working at home, as opposed to going to the workplace or an office. Some of the positive impacts could be that they have a better work-life balance. They may feel less stress because they're having more time with their family, or they're not travelling and therefore having any traffic or stressful journey to work. There may be more autonomy, therefore they can work without interruptions. They don't have to worry about anything taking place in an office that will distract them or take their time away from their work. A negative impact could be that they have a lack of community or social life. There may be many people in an office-based scenario who would invite you out on an evening or to certain workplace clubs. If you're working from home, you may feel socially isolated as you have no one else to communicate with, apart from online. You are also less likely to experience a diverse range of opinions. If you're trying to create a product, you may not have anybody to feed ideas off and enable you to build up your creativity to make your product better. Whereas if you're in the office, you could feed back and forth several ideas until you have refined it to get the best option for your work. By having modern technology in existence, we are having some negative impacts. A lot of these are on people's mental health. I'd like you to have a look into researching the following terms: autonomy, loneliness, stress, depression, and anxiety. I'd like to consider if the modern day technology that we use daily is having an impact on people's mental health, and if so, why? Many people watching this video will have a social media account, and from using that social media account, they will have a lot of mental health issues that may exist, ranging from eating disorders to stress, anxiety, and depression. And many people will report symptoms of addiction to technology. You may have found that you were waking up at random hours of the evening or night to check your social media account, when without that account you would just be asleep. This can affect your sleeping patterns, which then can make you addicted to technology and affect your performance in your daily routines at school. To support this addiction, many devices are introducing an element called screen time. You may have opened up your phone recently and noticed in the settings that you can monitor how much use you are doing on each application or other devices each day. This allows you to identify if you've got a healthy usage or if you should be taking actions to reduce the number of days or time that you use a device or applications to benefit your lifestyle.